across the preseason world, and we are so excited about it. Can't wait to get into some pigskin and talk about what's going to go down one of the first important days of the NFL season, as we're going to see some of these lineups play tonight, including the New England Patriots. That's why I've got my little Patriot shirt on from Barstool Sports. A little bit of a memento from the past for me. Excited to be with you guys, no matter where you're watching the show. Appreciate you guys joining us across all of our platforms. We are going to be here for you guys to answer your sports betting questions. We obviously had some early day baseball games as the clock sounds for 5 o'clock where I am. But we have some evening baseball as well. The Reds at the Miami Marlins, the Angels at the New York Yankees, Orioles still up north against the Toronto Blue Jays, Rays in St. Louis to play the Cardinals, Tigers finishing out their series against the Mariners, and the Phillies are against the Diamondbacks. Game between two really good teams. So excited about it. We're coming on a little bit late because obviously we just watched USA and Serbia. What a fantastic display of basketball. That's what Olympic basketball is supposed to be. I know we talk about the dream team. I know everyone talks about the United States dominating at basketball. But frankly, this is what the Olympic committees, this is what the FIBA world is dreaming of, is good competition where the USA is actually challenged. What was so nice is this was truly the Steph Curry game. He's the one who delivered the monumental performance, and that is what will be remembered. Kevin Durant down the stretch was super clutch. LeBron James was obviously, he's the heartbeat of the team. He is the one who turns it on. He was fantastic, but Steph Curry delivering a massive scoring performance, and it'll go down in Olympic history. It'll certainly be remembered, and I'm sure we'll see multiple angles of it in whatever documentary is being recorded right now, because you know there are about 15 that are in the works just around this team alone. Definitely want to give my credit to Serbia, though. Jokic got in foul trouble, but managed to finish out that game. He played incredibly well, but it was the outside shooting of Serbia, the three-point shooting, that truly made the difference. Really exciting game. No knock on Serbia. They played well, but I am glad that they're gone because I wanted USA against France. Wembanyama, the alien, going up against Team USA. This is the mega matchup, and it truly just is the dawn of a new era in global basketball because Wembanyama, he's just entering the global scene. So what he's going to be for a decade and a half to come, may be what LeBron is in the United States, but in Paris, Wembanyama and France going up against LeBron and the USA, that is exactly what I wanted to see this weekend. Unfortunately, that's what we're going to get. Phenomenal effort. I will call out one person when it comes to Team USA. I just don't understand Steve Kerr and how he's managing the lineups for the first 3 quarters of the game. I understand the fourth quarter, you're going to go with your Steph Curry, LeBron James, Kevin Durant death lineup. And Embiid, for the mistakes he made, he had some good moments as well. Some people will praise him, some people will ridicule him. Embiid's just going to be a lightning rod for takes no matter what. But I don't understand what Steve Kerr is doing for the first 3 quarters. He hasn't really figured out who's supposed to be in what rotation, how to get everybody involved. I thought this was a game in which you might have wanted to go to your bench a little bit earlier because you were struggling. They didn't do that. I think Steve Kerr is the wrong coach for Team USA. I'll be the one to say that. They're coming off this phenomenal run of Coach K, Coach Pop. Steve Kerr, he might have been around those guys, but he may not be the right guy for this job. I'll put that out there right now. Some people may disagree with me. I believe Steve Kerr is a bit overrated for this role. I think he's better as an assistant. Frankly, you know who I'd really like to see in this role is Spoelstra. I think Eric Spoelstra is actually the best coach right now in the NBA outside of Pop. If Pop is the Belichick and you just say, okay, he's on that Mount Olympus, he's the best that's going, I think Eric Spoelstra is actually the second best. I'd rather see him coaching Team USA more than I'd like Steve Kerr, but maybe that's a hot take from me. That said, that was Team USA. That was Olympic basketball. We got to put that in the rearview mirror because that's in the past, but that explains why we're coming on late. We are going to get into our sports betting research for tonight. So if you're here for some MLB betting research, you've come to the right place. We're going to go through Outlier. We're going to use killersports.com. We're going to focus on ballparkpal.com and what it's showing us around the matchups so far today. Half of, obviously, the games have already gone through. We had some good actual call-outs. I'll show you what we had on the board earlier today, though I didn't post them just because I was scrambling to do other things. That said, we're going to do our research on the night game, so if you guys have questions about that. And of course, we will also be doing some fantasy football talk with football on the docket for tonight. We're going to talk about who's going to be playing, as well as what opportunities there are to scout out some fantasy football players. So that's what the plan is for the show. Make sure you hit the follow button, Butt Fumble Sports. We're going to be doing this every single day that we can for the remainder of time. So not just the football season, not just the fantasy football season, but almost every single day we come on live. So hit that follow button. We talk sports, we do sports betting research, we talk fantasy sports, and we're so grateful to have you as a member of this amazing community. Again, we're going to give out picks throughout the show based on research and data. I am not a betting expert. I don't want to come across as one. I just love doing research. My background is being as a producer in sports media at ESPN, Fox Sports, CBS Sports, and for Jim Rome. So I just love looking at data and trying to find the best plays every single day across sports betting and fantasy sports. I put out the picks. I give them away for free. I never charge for them, but I want to make sure you guys know I never want to tout myself as a Vegas expert, because if I do that, that would be a false representation of my knowledge there. With that said, if you ever want to follow my picks for free, DM me on Instagram, Butt Fumble Sports. I give away the picks for free every single day. So all you have to do is DM me on Instagram, Butt Fumble Sports. I'll give those picks away for free, because I'm a big believer your money should go towards the entertainment of sports betting, not towards somebody's research that they would do anyways. So with that said, let's get into some of the picks we did give out earlier today, or would have. I did like some of these earlier matchups, but thus far, doing the research, I do like the Reds on the money line. I found a few kind of odd trends that suggest that the Marlins could be a sneaky good play if you're looking for a long shot. But for the most part, most of the trends backed Reds on the money line, and obviously Yankees on the money line, Nestor Cortez at home. So Reds money line, Yankees money line. Some hitters that I want to call out, some hitters that I really like tonight. Kevin Pillar of the Los Angeles Angels. Good numbers against Nestor Cortez. Righty-lefty split really works in his favor. That's Kevin Pillar. Anthony Volpe, Alex Verdugo, two hitters who have really good numbers against Tyler Anderson, the starting pitcher of the Angels. So while you'll have your Aaron Judge plays, you'll have your Juan Soto plays, keep in mind that Verdugo and Volpe, those two Vs, put up some pretty good numbers against the starting pitcher of the Angels. Couple other hitters that I have my eye on. Ryan Mountcastle of the Baltimore Orioles. He has great numbers against the starting pitcher. He's been hot. Ryan Mountcastle of the Orioles. Vlad Guerrero Jr. At this point, take him on a hit if you can get it. Take him on an RBI if you can get it. Over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs every single day. Vlad Guerrero Jr. is scorching hot. He hits the Orioles well. Great numbers. Love him. Finally, just to wrap up the thought, Kyle Schwarber. Kyle Schwarber, great numbers, goes up against a left-handed pitcher. He's the best left-handed hitter against left-handed pitching in all of baseball. Kyle Schwarber against Jordan Montgomery. Love him tonight in a matchup between the Phillies and the Diamondbacks. Two hot teams. Diamondbacks playing some phenomenal baseball. They're doing it once again, making a late season push, looking at the postseason. We've got Outlier all loaded up for player prop bets. We have Outlier all loaded up to look at the markets for sports betting. We have killersports.com loaded up. So whatever you guys want to focus on, that's what we're going to focus on. Chase, would you take Kenneth Walker in the 4th round? Personally, I think Kenneth Walker is one of those players where I value him if he falls. I actually like him in the 5th round or later, but 4th round, there are still other running backs that I kind of trust more. I don't know what Kenneth Walker is. I thought he was going to have a slightly better year last year. I'm curious to know if Zach Charbonnet continues to get some production. Personally, I like Walker as an RB2 on my team, but given where, as a lot of you guys know who watch the show consistently, I like to take a running back in round 1, round 2, and if I'm not taking at least 2 running backs in the first 2 rounds, I'm taking a running back in round 3. So round 4, I'm probably at that wide receiver point. So if Kenneth Walker III falls in the 5th round and he becomes my 3rd running back, that's what I would do. But Kenneth Walker as my RB2 in round 4, it's okay, but frankly, there's some other running backs that I would prefer. M&M's is asking about Hunter Green for 5 strikeouts. Let's go check it out. I'm going to do it a couple different ways here. Actually, first things first, I'm just going to take a look at Hunter Green and how he's performed on killersports.com. I know usually we use Outlier right away, but Hunter Green, when he's pitched on the road so far this year, the Reds are 4-6 straight up, 6-4 on the run line. The under is 7-3. The under is hit in 4 straight road starts for Hunter Green. Looking at the average across those numbers, low scores, 6.5 runs per game has kind of been the average. He's averaging 8, or rather I should say, the Reds are averaging around 8 strikeouts. In terms, that's, I believe, their hitters. They're striking out about 9.5. So in Hunter Green starts on the road, averaging about 9.5 strikeouts. You're asking about 5. Let's go now look at the player prop bet angle over on Outlier. Outlier allows me to sort through the trends and the data really quickly. By far the best sports betting research tool around. Looking at Hunter Green, his strikeout total is set at 7.5. This has really lived between 6 and 7.5. And when it's gone above 7, it's gone to double digits. Kind of interesting there. On the road, this hasn't been a great trend actually. But the matchups that he's had, Rays, Braves, Cardinals, interesting. I'm going to go over to Fangraphs. I'm not trusting what I'm seeing just yet. Let's look at how the Marlins have done. Let's look at how the Marlins have done at home against right-handed pitching. The Marlins at home against right-handed pitching. 20th when it comes to strikeouts. And that's with a lot of at-bats. So, frankly, I kind of like the under 7.5. Let's jump back over to the player prop bet angle on killersports.com, or on Outlier rather, against Hunter Green. Not a lot of history against him. Only Jesus Sanchez has faced him. Against right-handed pitching this year, the Marlins don't have too many hitters actually who have high strikeout numbers. Now, they don't have too many hitters who have recorded a lot of at-bats so far this season. Jake Berger, Jesus Sanchez, they're both around 24, 25 strikeout percentage. Hill 34, Stowers 44. I lean towards the under. Hunter Green, I'd go over the 5. I'd take the over 5 M&Ms, but I kind of like the under. I like the under the 5.5. I want to just do one quick thing. I want to look since, let's say, June 1st. Since June 1st, how have the Marlins done at home against right-handed pitching? Now it comes out. They're the 6th most strikeouts. Okay, I'll take them over the 5.5. I'm not going to touch the 7.5. Now it comes out. They've been a higher strikeout team later in the year. I'm sure in part that's because some of the players that they're calling up as they're making trades. So M&Ms, I like the over the 5.5. Jeff is asking about the Yankees minus 1.5. Be careful on that trap right there. Let's take a look at Nestor Cortez. Nestor Cortez at home so far this year. 5-6 straight up, 5-6 on the run line. When he's been a home favorite, same story. When he's pitching after a loss, after a Yankees loss as a home favorite, 2-2 straight up, 2-2 on the run line. I'm just kind of interested overall. When he's pitching after a home loss, 1-3 straight up, 1-3 on the run line. The over is 3-0-1. So Nestor Cortez has not been the stopper so far this year. I do like the Yankees on the money line, but certainly not one in which I like them on the run line. This stands out for that reason alone. But I'm going to flip on over and look at it from a team perspective now. Yankees, when they're coming off a home loss, 11-13 straight up, 7-17 on the run line. 7-17 on the run line coming after a home loss. The over is 18-4-2. You heard that correct. The over is 18-4-2 when the Yankees are coming off a home loss, when they're following that game as a favorite. Same story. How about when the total right now is set at 8.5. Let's see when it's over 8. When the total's over 8, over is 13-2. Yankees have a losing record. They're 6-9 straight up, 5-10 on the run line. but the over is 13-2. This is what we really like for this game as I clear out some of these old plays. I really like the over in this game. Angels, Yankees, over 7.5. I take the over 8.5 as well. That's a really strong play for that game. Love seeing that. Nestor Cortez certainly hasn't been the same so far this year. The overs played well when he's coming off a home loss. Want to flip it around just to look at the Angels' point of view. When the Angels are coming off an away win, over is 13-9-1. They have a losing record straight up, a winning record on the run line. I continue to kind of feel like the Yankees on the money line remains the good play. If you told me the Angels cover a run line of plus 1.5, I wouldn't be surprised. But I really like the over in this game. Angels over, Angels and Yankees over, coming off an away win. When they are then an underdog the following game. Over is only, the under has a better play there, 7-8-1, but I'm going to be less concerned about that. They've been good covering the run line there. It's funny how you could change the data and you can slice it in so many ways. When the Angels are coming off an away win and then they play a night game the following game, over's 10-4-1. Again, over feels like a very strong play in this one. A number of the trends we're looking at favor the over. So Angels, Yankees, over 7.5, over 8.5. We already mentioned a bunch of hitters in that lineup that we like. We like Kevin Pillar. Great numbers against Nestor Cortez. Let me show you that one if you're watching over on YouTube, Twitch, or Kick. Let me show you what I'm talking about here, and I'll just pull up the hits prop. For Angels, for Yankees, Anthony Volpe, his career numbers against Tyler Anderson. 1 for 3, but he's been hitting really well against left-handed pitching. 8 hits in his last 10 games overall against left-handed pitching. At home, he has a hit in 6 of his last 7 games against a left-handed starter. 8 of his last 10 games overall. If I expand that out to a sample size of 20 games, he has a hit in 15 of his last 20 games against the left-handed starter. I would take Anthony Volpe over half a hit. You're getting it at a good value in a number of places. I also could see this being over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs. Given we think the over is going to hit, thinking he'll also either be a run or an RBI play as well. I think it's a strong one. So Anthony Volpe over half a hit. But I think over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs is also a very strong play. So keep that in mind. I mentioned Alex Verdugo as well. Alex Verdugo, 7 career at-bats against Tyler Anderson. 429 average. That includes a home run, a 1.357 OPS. Really strong numbers. He's been doing better of late against left-handed pitching. He has a hit in 5 of his last 7 games. Better than he had been at home specifically. Not great. 2 of his last 3, but if I extend it out, not a great look. He hasn't been hitting left-handed pitching that well. But against the Angels, he has a hit. He has a hit in 5 straight games against the Angels. He has a hit in 9 of 11 games against the Angels. So again, Alex Verdugo is another one that I would definitely put up on the board right now. I already bet this one earlier today. That's Alex Verdugo. Over half a hit. And one of the things I mentioned to you guys is if I like it, I'd probably put into a parlay with some of the other things I like, whether it's the over, if you like the Yankees on the money line, if you want to pair some of these hits together. But maybe I've been doing a lot more same-game parlays, keeping my parlays total small, making it 2-3 legs at the most, but kind of stacking them. Perfect example for it was today, that Brewers and Braves game. That game had a lot of runs scored. If you think there's a game that's going to go over its run total, which I did for that game, maybe we want to do some stacking, some same-game parlay stacking, because if you think those lineups are going to go off, good reason to believe in Marcell Ozuna. Good reason to believe in Austin Riley. So same kind of thought here with the Angels and the Yankees. We think it's going to go over its run total. Kevin Pillar on the Angels side, Alex Verdugo on the Yankees side, Anthony Volpe on the Yankees side, and obviously there are those 2 guys named Judge and Soto that you may want to consider as well. So, do I like the Yankees minus the 1.5? Jeff, Nothing I've seen convinces me of that, but I really like the over, and I kind of like the other way on it. Yankees money line, Angels plus the 1.5. No matter what your questions are, we're here for it. Fisher, thoughts on Alvin Kamara? I think Alvin Kamara is finally underrated. What I'm hearing from a lot of the people I talk to and how they're building their drafts, obviously folks just like you, allowing me to get a big sample size survey of fantasy football owners, Alvin Kamara is being overlooked. He's still in a division that allows him to score points. He's going to be utilized in that offense in a multitude of ways. I actually like Alvin Kamara, but I'm keeping an eye on where he falls. Emphasis on falls. I think that especially in auction drafts, he could be a really good player who just doesn't get attention. If he's not nominated too early in an auction draft, he could be a really great pick. In a snake draft, my thought is he probably goes one round sooner than I would like. You know, people talk a big game, but when a running back starts to get selected, there's usually a run on that position. So I would rather pass on Alvin Kamara than take him too early. But I really like him if you could probably get him in the 5th round. Again, as a second running back. 4th round, there are probably other players I like. But if he fell to the 5th round, I'm probably scooping him up because even if I try to trade him, I could probably get a few weeks of use out of him and then turn him into a trade play. I actually have the schedule to my side here. One kind of thing to note, the New Orleans Saints play the Carolina Panthers week 1. If we expect the Carolina Panthers to be dog shit, absolute dog poop on your porch in the summertime, stink up the place, then Fisher, you may want to consider drafting Alvin Kamara and then maybe trading him after week 1 when everyone's really impressed by the performance he has against a lesser Carolina Panthers team. Trey Carlson, do I like Saquon Barkley? Is that the question? Oh, you're answering F's question. A.J. Brown, Saquon Barkley, JT, or Garrett Wilson in the 1st round. I actually like Jonathan Taylor in the 1st round. It's not that I don't like Saquon. He'd probably be number 2 on that list. But I like Jonathan Taylor. I think he's being overlooked a little bit. I actually think, even with both players having an injury history, I think I like JT's situation just a little bit more. So I'll go Jonathan Taylor just barely over Saquon, though those are probably players that I like literally one right next to each other. J. Smith, 22, start 2, bench 2. For what? The season? For tonight's games? I mean, like, over the course of the season, I think it's week-to-week matchups. Perfect example. Week 1, the New York Giants play the Minnesota Vikings. Malik Neighbors should be starting week 1. Malik Neighbors could have a very, very big game week 1 against the Minnesota Vikings secondary that has been just god-awful at times last year and didn't make the kind of upgrades that I expected. So J. Smith, 22, think Malik Neighbors is a game 1 pick, a game 1 play. Amari Cooper, what team's he playing on? He's been put up for trades, according to a lot of reports involving the 49ers, Brandon Ayuk. He plays against Dallas. You got to assume he's going to be the wide receiver 1 that Diggs tries to cover. So maybe I don't love him for week 1. That said, returning a battle against Dallas. I know it's going to in Cleveland, but still battle against the Cowboys. Maybe he gets up for that. Keep your eye on that. Bucks play the Commanders. Mike Evans should have a pretty good game. DJ Moore, the Chicago Bears, week 1. They're going up against the Titans. So, frankly, I've got to kind of see how the rest of the preseason plays out. But you've got some good week 1 starters. I think Malik Neighbors, and right now I'd probably say, at least for the moment, I'd probably say Evans are the 2 that I'd go with. But we'd have to consider it. DJD, what is Marvin Harrison Jr.'s floor and ceiling this year? Well, I think his floor is that he gets injured and that he's out substantial time. There's reason to believe that we're hyping this kid up and it just takes one hamstring pull and then he's crushing your season because you drafted him too early. So I think his floor is as low as it can go, an injury and he's knocked out within a game or 2 of playing. His ceiling is what's far more interesting to me. I really think he has the ability to be like what A.J. Brown was when he first got on the Titans, which is he's going to be the number 1 wide receiver. Maybe at times he gets double covered, so there are games he could potentially disappear, but he's going to be a dog, and I think he's a pretty good pick. Personally, I'm not drafting him just because he's going way too high in most of the drafts. I think the name is getting people to draft him too early. I'm not drafting him in the 2nd round. 3rd round, okay, I'd consider it. But that goes to show, I think he's a legit wide receiver 1. Kyler Murray doesn't have other options. Trey McBride, the tight end, only helps because you can play one on the outside, one in that seam. A lot of things they can do. So I have actually a lot of faith in Marvin Harrison Jr. Whittington C10, what's the best draft strategy you think for an 8-man PPR? Okay, for an 8-man PPR, you're kind of in a really interesting spot because no matter what, you should get a loaded team. So this is what I would do. Now, this matches what I would do anyways. You guys are going to hear my strategy is pretty consistent no matter the size of the leagues. That said, sometimes every once in a while I will deviate depending on a variable that you guys give me. But for an 8-man league, I'm going to do what I normally do. I want my 2 top running backs set. You guys can call me crazy, but in this world of fantasy football, there are so many points you can get through the air. It's really hard to get top line production on the ground. So get your 2 running backs, draft them early, lock them up. Once you do that, by the way, if one of them gets hurt like Nick Chubb, you then still have a top RB1. So I never think you can have enough RB1 talent. So I would always go RB1 in round 1, RB1 in round 2, unless you are in a CeeDee Lamb situation, you're picking second, you're in a Tyreek Hill situation, you're picking third, or if there's been a run on running back. If you're picking, say, 8th in a 8-man league and there's been a run on running back, maybe you want to get a wide receiver that fell to you, but for the most part, I'd pick my top 2 running backs. I'd lock that in, especially in an 8-man league, Whittington, because there are so many talented wide receivers that are just going to be available in rounds 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, because you don't have that many players and everyone's got to fill up so many other parts of their team. So what you're really banking on is people reach on certain positions. Don't draft a quarterback too early. Personally, I'd wait on a tight end. Those are positions you can, again, get a little bit later on. Sam Laporta in like a 6th round, 7th round, see if he's there. Kyle Pitts could be a really good value a bit later on. You can wait on tight end, lock in your running back, lock in your wide receiver. I would have 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers with my first 4 picks, and then either a 3rd wide receiver or a 3rd running back with my 5th pick. And then it's about what's seeing on the board. If there's a run on quarterback, don't worry about it. You can get quarterbacks in an 8-man league at almost any time that are of value. You could get 2, rotate them in and out. So I would just lock up running back and wide receiver early on. That would be my main strategy. Appreciate the question, guys. Joey, Tyreek Hill or CeeDee Lamb with the 2nd pick in a 12-man league? There's really reason for me to believe that CeeDee Lamb's the better play. Tyreek Hill, I just wonder about his career arc. Are we on the back end of it? He's also, and I've mentioned this a lot, he's facing a really good secondary every time he plays the AFC East. So those 6 games on their own, if I look at the matchups that he does play Jacksonville. I think he could have a very good game against Jacksonville, Buffalo, at Seattle, Tennessee, and at New England before he has a bye. Interesting to know, Miami has a very early bye this year. That actually is a reason for me to kind of fade Tyreek Hill a little bit. He's going to have to go the entire length of the season from week 7 on, and he's going to have to maintain health. I just don't see it happening. I think CeeDee Lamb is probably the better pick. He's younger. He's going to be the clear-cut number 1 wide receiver, and the Cowboys' offense isn't nearly as dynamic as it has been in the past. So I think they're going to continue to overthrow towards CeeDee Lamb, where Tyreek Hill, he may see a little bit less of the ball than he has in the past. I'd go CeeDee Lamb, Joey. Julian, who should I go with at 9 and 11 in a 10-man draft? I think it depends on who's on the board. I would love to be able to get Jonathan Taylor, turn it around and get a Saquon Barkley or get a Jahmyr Gibbs and one of the 2 running backs I just mentioned. There are a lot of top wide receivers that are going to be available at that turn. I think a lot of people will probably be talking about Garrett Wilson at that kind of 11 spot. That's someone to consider. If Amon-Ra St. Brown somehow were to fall, maybe you could take him, but make sure you get a running back in the 9 spot. Jahmyr Gibbs, Jonathan Taylor, Saquon Barkley. If Bijan somehow fell that far, he won't. But if he did, I would certainly take him. And at 11, it's really about what do you want? Get the best player on the board. I'd probably lean towards running back, but you're still capable of getting a really good wide receiver if you want to go in that direction. Jose, should the 49ers trade Ayuk? Talks he's goofing off at practice and becoming a distraction. I'm not too worried about that. I think the 49ers are professional enough to handle it. and this is still early on in the preseason. I think they should trade him, absolutely, but more because at this point, they need to get value for him, because if they wait too long, I think it may compromise their ability to get the kind of value that they want. I thought the Patriots made a really good offer. From what I'm hearing, it was a second-round pick. It was Kendrick Bourne. They were going to pay $32 million to Ayuk, and there was a chance that there was actually another pick that could have been involved. So a lot of reason to just believe that the 49ers need to make a move, and they need to stop empowering the player. But Ayuk's the one who's going to make the decision. It sounds like he wants to go to the Steelers, and he is just going to manipulate his way to making that happen. He's going to, he's going to make it happen. So draft what position I get to pick. Colin, if I could draft at any position, I actually might draft at 4 or 5. It depends on the size of the league. But I like being on the turn. If it's a smaller draft, I kind of like the turn. If it's a long draft, if it's a bigger size draft, waiting a full cycle of that snake draft can be a long time in between positions. I like to be not dead middle, but kind of on one slight end of the middle. And the reason I say 4 is I actually kind of want some of the clutter out of the way. I think sometimes it's helpful to not be forced into positions to take something you don't want to. I want to take Breece Hall. I want to take Bijan Robinson. I don't need to take. I don't need to draft 1, 2, or 3 to get those guys. I can take them at 4 or 5. So it just lends itself to, again, being closer to the middle rather than being on one of those ends, which sometimes just works against you because then you have to wait. And if there's a run on a position, you could be scraping the bottom of the barrel by the time it gets to you. Appreciate you guys being with us. Hope you guys are loving the content and loving the show. If you want to join a fantasy football league with me, DM me on Instagram right now. We are totally up for doing a league. So if you guys want to do a league with us, DM me right now. Butt Fumble Sports on Instagram. I'm willing to do a rival fantasy league as we get it loaded up. So if you guys want to join a rival fantasy league with me, DM me on Instagram. Butt Fumble Sports. We can get going on a league. So DM me right now if you want to participate in that league. Nino, I'm about to draft at 1.03. Is taking Jamar a reach? I'd rather take CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb is who I would take. I think Jamar Chase is a bit of a reach, and there are a couple reasons for that. One, the division's a much better one. Keep your eye on the Cleveland Browns. Keep your eye on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Keep your eye on the Baltimore Ravens. All 3 teams could be in the postseason. All 3 teams could have top 10 defenses. I actually don't want too much to do with Jamar Chase unless he falls from where he should be drafted. CeeDee Lamb is where I'd go. The Eagles had some question marks in their secondary. The Giants have question marks in their secondary. The Commanders have question marks in their secondary, and Dak Prescott is 100% going to throw the ball to CeeDee Lamb as often as he can. So that is what I'd be considering when it comes to a wide receiver at that spot. We are going to get a draft started, so if you guys want to participate in a fantasy draft with us, it's going to be a 10-man league. We're going to do a PPR 10-man league. This is the 10th draft that we are going through. This is the 10th draft we will have started. So if you want to participate, DM me on Instagram. Butt Fumble Sports, DM me on Instagram. I know there are a bunch of folks who have participated in some drafts before. Feel free to do another one with us. We're all about getting you guys involved in the draft process with us, however you want to do it. So if you want to participate, if you just want to follow along, DM me on Instagram. Butt Fumble Sports, DM me on Instagram. Here to get you guys ready for your fantasy football drafts. Colin wants to be a part of a mock draft. By the way, this is not a mock draft. This is a real league, Colin. No league fees, but this is a real league. We're going to compete against each other all season long. Maybe you know fantasy sports better than Butt Fumble Sports. So challenge me. Be a part of a league today. Landon, what's good, buddy? There you go. If you want to be a part of a fantasy league with us, just DM me on Instagram right now. 4 slots filled already. 6 slots to fill. So DM me on Instagram now. Again, no league fees, but it's a real league. It's a live league, so get in on the action while you can. While people are signing up, Philly 4, I'm trying to join. Get in on it, Philly 4. Mike, which players are best value should I go for at pick 15? See if there are any running backs that fall. I don't expect there will be, but some wide receivers could be available that are highly valuable. I think looking at the wide receiver market, again, where does Justin Jefferson go? Where does Jamar Chase go? A.J. Brown's an interesting one. Amon-Ra St. Brown. Again, think about 15. The wide receivers I just named, add a couple of, Tyreek Hill, Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Garrett Wilson, A.J. Brown, I may have mentioned Devontae Adams. That's 6 right there. Think of the running backs that are also going to go. Now we're starting Marvin Harrison Jr. We're starting to talk about some of these other players. So start to kind of eliminate who's going to probably be gone, and then start to kind of circle the names that you like. Who do you like in terms of an offense? So what I would say is, if anybody falls, Saquon Barkley's probably going to be gone by then. But if he goes, I'm not a Derrick Henry guy, but some people have been taking him at that spot. So kind of interesting that he's been a popular play there. Lollapalooza, no buy-in, it's for free. Have we heard anything about Chubb? I'm hearing great things, actually. I'm hearing that he's practicing. I'm hearing that he's a chance there a good chance he'll be ready for week 1. I think Nick Chubb is actually kind of worth a lottery ticket draft pick. Think a lot of what I'm seeing is around round 10. That's where he's being drafted, which I think is pretty good value. CMC for Tyreek and JT, 100%. I'd rather have Hill and JT this year. Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to be a wide receiver 1 this year. Rando, I think it's a great call. Great call. I have the first pick of the draft. Who am I taking? I think you're going to get bullied into Christian McCaffrey because it's hard not to take that pick, to be honest with you. If you want to participate in a 10-man PPR league with me, DM me right now. Butt Fumble Sports on Instagram. Butt Fumble Sports. DM me on Instagram. We're doing a free league. PPR, but it's a season-long league, so get in on the action. If you're watching over on YouTube, Twitch, or Kick, feel free to get in on it as well. Great to have you guys with us, no matter the platform you're watching on. It's wonderful to have you guys with us. Landon, go claim your spot in the league. There are 5 slots filled, 5 slots to go. Go claim yours right now. By the way, still down to do fantasy football talk, still down to do MLB bets. Armando, any money line you like today, MLB or NFL? We talked about it a little bit earlier in the show. I really like the Mariners. I really like Brian Wu and the Mariners. That's a play that I'm very big into right now. The Mariners. I like them on the money line. I think the Orioles on the money line is a good play, but that's a bit of a risky one. If you told me that one was going to be one in which the Blue Jays cover or stole that later in the innings, I wouldn't be surprised. I like the Yankees on the money line, but I also think there's reason to believe the Angels is a cover play. I do like the Reds on the money line as well. So those are some of the plays that I like. Should I draft CMC first? I'm on the clock. Yep, you probably should. Giants or Lions? Giants or Lions? Is that for tonight? I haven't looked at the games for tonight, so if that's a game tonight, I'm not going to bet that game. So Lollapalooza, I don't bet preseason games. Sorry. Half PPR, I would go Bijan. I really like Amon-Ra St. Brown, but I'm bigger on Bijan Robinson, so I'd go Bijan. Do you think Jacoby Myers would be a good sleeper pick? I don't. There are other wide receivers that I like more. Austin, I'm so happy this time of year is back. I'm so ready for it. Happy to have you with us. Hope you're as pumped as I am. Thoughts on Kyle Pitts? Shh, Fisher, don't say anything. The more we talk about Kyle Pitts, the worse he does. The more we keep him under the radar, the better he'll be. I think he's going to have a really big season with Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins knows how to get his tight end involved. Look at what he just did with TJ Hawkinson. Look what he did in Washington. He is a true classic pocket passing quarterback who gets his tight end involved. A lot of play action to get the tight end involved as well. So I'm big on Kyle Pitts, but I don't want to say too much. I don't want to spook the ghost of Kyle Pitts into running away from us, because I know Kyle Pitts is someone who I thought he was going to have better seasons in the past. So I am a little bit wary of endorsing him entirely right now. If you want to get in on this 10-man PPR league that we are going to be drafting the moment we fill it up, DM me on Instagram, Butt Fumble Sports. The moment we fill the league, we are going to draft. We have 6 teams in, 4 slots left. Get in on the action while you can. Do you like JJ over Amon-Ra St. Brown? Not this year. I like Amon-Ra St. Brown more. This is a classic example of just because they've performed in the past doesn't mean I like them in the present. I think there is a bit of a changing of the guard in terms of best wide receiver in the NFC North. I think DJ Moore has argument for it, but I think it's Amon-Ra St. Brown over Justin Jefferson, who's currently the title holder in that regard. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown, Lions are going to play a ton of games in a dome. A ton of games in a dome. They play in Los Angeles in a dome. They play at home. They play at home. They play in Arizona. They play at home. Then a bye week. Then in a dome, Dallas. In a dome, Minnesota. They're at home for Tennessee. They're on the road against Green Bay. So one road game. The Lions' first road game not in a dome is week 9. Then after that, at Houston, dome. Jacksonville at home, at Colts, dome, at home against the Bears, at home against the Packers, at home against the Bills. Their second outdoor game is week 16. So their 2 outdoor games are week 9 against the Green Bay Packers, week 16 against the Chicago Bears, and week 17 at the 49ers. Other than that, the Detroit Lions play every single game on turf in a dome stadium. I love Amon-Ra St. Brown. I really like Jared Goff. I like Sam Laporta. That passing offense should be en fuego. Should be fantastic. So, Mike, I'm all about it. I want to get Breece Hall at 1.06. I don't know who I should go. Fisher, I love Breece Hall. If you can get him at that spot, I feel like most drafts he goes before them, but I would absolutely take him there if I could. In that second round, I'd go with another running back. I'd see who falls. If you want to get a top-tier wide receiver who's there, I get it. But it really is about playing the board once you get past that turn. Appreciate you guys being with us. Make sure you DM me on Instagram, ButtFumbleSports, to get in on the draft that we're about to start. We have 2 slots left. 8 teams have signed up. 2 teams yet to be filled up as I just spit all over the place. So DM me on Instagram if you want to get in on this 10-team PPR league. That no league fees, season-long competition. Justin L., 4th pick in a 10-man PPR. I'm taking Sun God too early. I think so. I understand the urgency to do it. Frankly, it's not a terrible idea. At 4, I get it. If you said it was at 3, maybe not. I'm okay with it at 4. It's not what I would do, but there are dumber moves. Let's put it that way. I think some people might ridicule you. They don't know enough. Could Amon-Ra St. Brown finish as the number 1 wide receiver? Yes. So if you're drafting Tyreek Hill or CeeDee Lamb under that impression, maybe you think there's the changing of the guard. I think it's more suited to draft him at 6, 7, 8, 9. But that said, don't hate it. It's not the dumbest thing I've heard. Agon, 2nd pick in a 12-man PPR. I'd pick CeeDee Lamb. If McCaffrey's available, I'd take him, but CeeDee Lamb is probably who I would go with, just assuming CMC's gone. We have 1 slot left, everybody. 1 slot left. And guys, if you signed up for the league, we're going to draft right away. We don't waste time, so the moment we fill up the league, we draft right away. So if you did sign up, make sure you're ready to go because we're going to draft lickety-split, everybody. Hope you guys are having a wonderful Thursday. So happy to have fantasy football back in our lives. Kevin, want to keep Kamara, Flowers, or Devontae Smith? I kind of want to say Zay Flowers. I think Zay Flowers is going to have a really good second season, so I'll say Zay Flowers. We have filled up this draft, 10-team league. We are ready to go. I'm going to set everything up right now. This is going to be 30 seconds on the clock, everybody. 30 seconds on the clock. Snake draft. We're going to get this draft started. Apparently, it has to start at 5:50. So 5:50. So you have a couple minutes. Snake draft, 30 seconds. The order has been randomized. So we start the draft in 4 minutes, everybody. 4 minutes to start this draft. For my second pick, do I take a wide receiver because I got CMC with the first? Personally, I'd actually take a running back because I got CMC. The risk of injury there is kind of high for me, but I get it. By the way, if you took CMC, you're probably drafting right again. So I would take 1 wide receiver, 1 running back. It's really about what's on the board and how urgently you want to just claim that position or that player. Colin, what do you think about the 8th spot in a 10-man league? I actually think it's a really good spot to be in. You're kind of cleaning up the mess from the first round, getting the best player available. You're going to get a really good second player in that turn. I think 8's actually a really good spot to be in for a 10-man draft. Nick, hey, I'm new to fantasy this year. What would be a good draft order? A good draft order in terms of positions? I'd go running back, wide receiver, and then the best player on the board from either running back or wide receiver. Then I'd look for value. I'd probably go tight end or quarterback pretty soon after that. And then again, I'm just looking for value. I want to fill out my starters, but I care more about filling out running back and wide receiver depth because I can find a tight end almost every week on the waiver wire who's going to actually have a decent performance. I think quarterback and tight end are getting easier to find value on the waiver wire. Running back is really hard. Wide receiver, it depends. So that's where I come at it. And why do I say tight end is easier? Because of the red zone points. Tight ends, you just need your tight end to score 1 touchdown a week. And we usually can find a tight end on the waiver wire who's usually a good anytime touchdown play. Quarterback, kind of a similar story. You need like 2-3 passing touchdowns and just enough passing yards. And a number of weeks you can find that. Alessio, is Neighbors a good pick? Absolutely. Do I trust Daniel Jones? No. But Malik Neighbors is a superstar. They're going to throw him the ball a lot. I mentioned this a little bit earlier. Just looking at the schedule that the Giants have, first few weeks of the season, Giants play the Vikings, bad secondary. At Washington, bad secondary. They play the Browns. That's going to be a tough one. But then they play Dallas, Seattle, Cincinnati, and Philadelphia. I think there's some opportunity for Malik Neighbors to maybe pop in some of those weeks. Bergner, I'd still trust Kincaid over Pitts, but it's very, very close. We have a minute and a half until we draft this league, everybody. So a 10-man PPR snake draft. We are going to start this league in about a minute and 15 seconds. So if you're in it, get ready. Is Brooks good for Dynasty? Yes. What round should Puka go? I honestly think I would draft him in 4. I think he'll end up going in some round 3s for a lot of people, but I'd be a little bit cautious on his health. Nick, do you think Xavier Worthy or Hollywood Brown would be a good pick in Kansas City? Absolutely. I want at least one Kansas City wide receiver. I want to buy into that offense in some way. So I would absolutely buy a lottery ticket on one of them. Appreciate you guys being with us. Hope you guys are ready for the action. Warm Buns, I would take the under. I think the Patriots could score some points, but I think the Panthers could really disappoint offensively. I have 3rd overall pick. It's going to be go CeeDee Lamb, CMC. I'd probably say Tyreek. Frankly, I'd go Breece Hall. I'd take Breece Hall at 3, and I'd let Tyreek Hill fall. My brother wants to know who should he draft at 3. Same thing. I'd take Breece Hall. I'm actually willing to take Breece Hall one position or one spot earlier and let Tyreek Hill fall. I'm just not as big a believer in Tyreek as others are. If I get Gibbs in round 1, give me a running back I can get in round 2 that's going to be on a winning team. Saquon Barkley, Jonathan Taylor. This draft is ready to go. We are starting this draft, everybody. Justin, you're on the clock. He goes CMC right away. We are underway with this fantasy football draft. It's a 10-man PPR snake draft. So happy to have you guys with us. I'm drafting 5th overall, so obviously I'm going to share with you the perspective I have from drafting 5th, but we're going to answer questions throughout the course of the draft as they come up. Who's my favorite NFL team? I grew up in New England, but at this point, after working at ESPN, Fox Sports, CBS Sports, and as a producer for Jim Rome, you kind of just learn to love the sport unless a particular team. 3 wide receivers have gone right in front of me. Breece Hall is available. I'm taking Breece Hall at number 5. It went Christian McCaffrey, then CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill. Amon-Ra St. Brown went 4th overall, kind of like what we were talking about. And then Breece Hall goes number 5 to me. Bijan follows at number 6. Jamar Chase at number 7. This is a very interesting draft. Kind of like what we've been talking about. I think the run on wide receiver will dictate the running back market through the first 2-3 rounds. Make sure you hit the follow button. Make sure you subscribe. We're going to be live almost every single day of every day. We are live almost every day across the sports calendar, whether it's fantasy football season, whether we're out of football season. We're live almost every single day doing research, talking sports, having a lot of fun doing it with you guys. Jahmyr Gibbs, drafted number 8 overall in this first round. Making our way through this 15-round PPR snake draft. This is a live league, a real league that I'm doing with some of the viewers out there. If you want to participate in leagues with me, feel free to DM me and we'll get you involved. Alessio Pitts, and Schultz at tight end. Love the combination of the two. Justin Jefferson goes 9th overall. Who do I go draft for 7th? If Bijan falls, Jahmyr Gibbs is another one I like. Number of wide receivers at that spot, but Bijan and Jahmyr Gibbs are the running backs I really like. Jonathan Taylor, I don't think it's too big a reach, but it's right on the fringes of it. Jonathan Taylor just came off the board as I said that. Saquon Barkley follows him. So a bit of a run on running backs as we make that turn from round 1 to round 2. Not surprised. This is what we've seen so far. Round 1 has been a bit wide receiver heavy, obviously with running backs filling out the other picks. And then round 2 seems to be heavy on running backs. I haven't had a problem with that, but at the same time, maybe it means that there's good wide receiver value in that round 2. Kyren Williams comes off the board for the 3rd pick of the 2nd round. Jacob, thank you so much for the Tiny Diny. Appreciate you. I almost gave a tip of the hat, but it wasn't a cowboy hat. It was a Tiny Diny, so I don't know why I did that. Jacob Potter, round 1, pick 5. Who should I pick? I picked Breece Hall. Bijan Robinson's a good pick. Amon-Ra St. Brown's a good pick. I'd go running back, but if you want to go wide receiver, I totally get it. Appreciate you guys watching the show. Hope you guys are loving the content and the conversation. We do it for you guys, so make sure you hit that follow button and let us know what you think. We love feedback. You can always email me, feedback@buttfumblesports.com. That's feedback@buttfumblesports.com. You can give us a good grade. You can tell us we suck. I don't care. Feedback@buttfumblesports.com if you want to get a hold of us. Travis Etienne just went. 4th running back of the 2nd round to go. See, this is where it gets interesting. Derrick Henry, Devon Achane, Isaiah Pacheco, all available right now. Wide receiver, Puka Nacua, Marvin Harrison Jr. Running back's going to go. I'm going to take Pacheco. I know it may be a bit of a reach, but I'm actually willing to get my second. Again, I'm willing to take my 2nd running back early. There's been a run on running back in the 2nd round. I don't want to be scrambling for a 2nd running back. I'd rather try and scramble for a 1st wide receiver than for a 2nd running back. I know there are plenty of people who will disagree with me. That's fine. My advice would be lock in your RB1 and your RB2, and then you can address everything else. Malik Neighbors could end up being a wide receiver 1, and he's not going to go in the first 3-4 rounds. You could see flyers. Last year, Nico Collins came out of nowhere. DK Metcalf could have a bounce back year. One of the wide receivers for the Bears. So there are so many options there. Make sure you take care of your running back. Thus far, we have had 8 picks in the 2nd round of this PPR draft. Only 1 wide receiver. The rest are running backs. I'm a big believer in this strategy. If you disagree, let me know. Tiberius, Mark Andrews or Joe Burrow for a sleeper? I'd probably go Mark Andrews, believe it or not. I actually think there are a number of quarterbacks I can get that are on par with Joe Burrow. Harder to get tight ends on par with Mark Andrews, so I'd go Mark Andrews. To finish up that 2nd round, Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, Josh Jacobs is the next to go. Interesting, now we're entering that 3rd round. Some question marks. Rachaad White comes off the board. Another running back. Man, running back harder to get. James Cook's still on the board. If you're looking for a running back, James Cook could be a really good play this year. He's actually someone I like. Joe Mixon, he could have good value. James Cook off the board. Sorry, Diego. James Cook, very good play. Mixon, Kamara, Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker comes off the board. But in all the chaos, a great opportunity for me. Marvin Harrison Jr. falls. 5th pick of the 3rd round. That is a great place to get him. I'm getting him as my number 1 wide receiver. Some people are taking him in round 2, but I already got my number 1 and number 2 running backs. Getting Marvin Harrison Jr. in round 3, that really worked to my advantage. The run on running back, I rode the wave. I got my running backs. I let everyone else take theirs, and it allowed me to get a top wide receiver. That's how you need to be treating it. Lock in a position, make sure it's as good as it can be, and then look at where there's value across the board at other positions, and then go take it there. Deebo Samuel comes off. Aaron Jones comes off. Michael Pittman Jr., Drake London. Really like those two wide receivers. If you guys have been watching the show recently, Michael Pittman Jr., Drake London, I'm very high on the two of them. Wide receiver ones on offenses that I think are going to have major steps forward, take major steps forward, and have upgrades this year. So big on the two of them. Alvin Kamara, last pick of the third round. We now enter the fourth round of a 15-round PPR snake draft live league, real league. This will be competing all season long. Travis Kelce comes off the board. So we had nothing but running backs and wide receivers through the first 3 rounds. Bravo to anyone drafting in this league because it tells me you know what the hell you're doing. Tight end shouldn't go in the first 3 rounds, in my opinion. Tight end goes with round 4, the first pick of round 4. Really good pick, followed by Olave and Christian. Really good picks. Some really good teams right now. Love what I'm seeing from the people drafting in this one. This is one of the better drafts I've actually seen so far. We've done 10 leagues on Butt Fumble Sports with you viewers at home. Sam Laporta comes off the board. So 2 tight ends in round 4. Kelce and Laporta. Okay, do we see a run on that position? We haven't seen a quarterback yet. Mike Evans comes off the board. I'm going to stay at wide receiver. Brandon Ayuk is there. Nico Collins is there. Cooper Kupp is there. Stephon Diggs is there. Waddle is there. I'm not loving what I'm seeing, to be honest. I'm going to go third running back. Might be a bit of a reach here, but given how few running backs are still available, I'm going to take DeAndre Swift. DeAndre Swift's going to be my third running back. He'll be in my flex for now. No bye week conflict with my other 2 running backs. I feel like the wide receiver board right now has a lot of players that I'm kind of like lukewarm about. Nico Collins, Brandon Ayuk, Cooper Kupp, Stephon Diggs. I put them all in the same category. They could have really good years, but they're on good teams with other good wide receivers. And are they wide receiver 1? Is their production going to go down because there are a lot of mouths to feed? So instead, I'm going to let the board clear itself. I took the running back. I now have 3 top, let's say 15 running backs. Depends on where you value DeAndre Swift. But I feel like I have 3 top 15, top 16 running backs. Feel like I'm in a good position there with Marvin Harrison Jr. as my 1 wide receiver. Finally, a quarterback comes off the board. First quarterback, Josh Allen, 9th pick of the 4th round. So the 4th round saw the first tight ends, Travis Kelce, Sam Laporta, and saw the first quarterback, Josh Allen. Other than that, nothing but wide receiver, nothing but running back. Jalen Hurts now off the board. First pick of the 5th round. Might see a run on quarterback here. Again, about the time I think that's appropriate. 5th, 6th round, that's where I'd look at quarterback and tight end if I've started to lock in some of my other positions. I have 3 running backs, 1 wide receiver. I'm going to look at the tight end market, but I'm probably going to stick with a wide receiver here. James Conner comes off the board next. At round 5, kind of an interesting pick. So about a third of our way through this draft. Kind of interesting to see where things go. What defense do I get? 49ers, Browns, Jets, 3 really good defenses. Brandon Ayuk comes off the board. Where does Diego go? Diego's drafting in front of me. He's taken 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers. He goes Devontae Smith. Interesting. I'm going to take DJ Moore. No. Man, this is a tough one. I'm going to take DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf in the 5th round is a great pick for me. 5th pick of the 5th round. It was between him and DJ Moore for me. It was very, very tight there. Very, very tight. But personally, I do like that pick. Give me 1 quick second. My computer was about to die. Okay, Jalen Waddle just came off the board, the pick right after mine. JK, doing any more drafts tonight? Might only do this one. I got to get dinner before we've got some preseason football to watch. Jose, Breece Hall over Chase. Breece Hall over Chase. If Brock Bowers a top 3 tight end already? I don't think so. I don't love the quarterback situation for him. Lamar Jackson just came off the board. 3rd quarterback to go. Rico Dowdle, someone believing in a flyer play for the Dallas Cowboys. Kind of an interesting pick there. Patrick Mahomes off the board. Now Stephon Diggs. We're now in the 6th round of a 15-man PPR draft. Talent-wise, he has Gus Edwards. Kind of interesting. I wouldn't draft him unless it's later on. Thoughts on K9? I think that he's going too early for me to draft him. In this draft, he went round 3. That's too early for me. I'm thinking more round 4 and 5, but even there are other running backs I'd rather get. Joe Burrow comes off the board, and then DJ Moore. I was kind of hoping DJ Moore would fall to me, but came 4 picks ahead of me. So we're making our way through the 6th round. I don't have a quarterback yet. There's been a run on quarterback. Stroud on the board, Richardson on the board, Prescott on the board, Jordan Love on the board, Kyler Murray on the board. Tight end, Andrews, Kincaid, McBride, Kittle, Pitts. Plenty of tight ends available. Amari Cooper just came off the board. Running back, Ramondre Stevenson's there. That's got good value. David Montgomery's an interesting play. Najee Harris, Running back, if you need a running back, you better get him now because they're going to be gone in a moment. Malik Neighbors, drafted, 6th round. 6th round for Malik Neighbors. Good pick there. I have 2 wide receivers. I have 3 running backs. I'm going to take a quarterback. I don't have any Colts. So it gives me the opportunity. I'm going to take Anthony Richardson. I am so big on Anthony Richardson. I'm getting him in the 6th round. I believe in his arm. I believe in his legs. I love the offense he's in. He's going to be a smarter player this year in terms of managing his health. I love Anthony Richardson. That's a really good pick for me. So far, my team is Anthony Richardson at quarterback, Breece Hall and Isaiah Pacheco at my running back, my starting running back position, with DeAndre Swift as my 3rd running back. My 2 wide receivers so far are Marvin Harrison Jr. and DK Metcalf. Really like the squad that I've built so far. Obviously, I'm going to take some flyers on some wide receivers and some running backs to see if I can get a lottery ticket in there. But so far, good team. Dalton Kincaid, Mark Andrews come off the board. Bit of a run on tight end here. I did take the chance. I went quarterback rather than tight end. This is the risk you take. George Pickens off the board. A lot of people are trying to hype me up on George Pickens. I'm not quite there, but I understand why people are trying to get me there. I understand why they're trying to force feed me George Pickens. I'm just not quite the believer that they are. Pittsburgh, their season starts in Atlanta and then they go to Denver before they play the Chargers, Colts. They have a first month where he could get off to a very fast start. Other than A.J. Terrell, well, Patrick Surtain, he does face some decent corners actually. George Kittle off the board. 3 picks until I go. We're in round 7, so almost about halfway through this draft. Appreciate you guys watching the show. Make sure you hit the follow button. Make sure you subscribe. Falcon, I'm very, very big on Chase Brown. Very big on him. Definitely believe that he is a guy to draft later on in a draft that will have some value and certainly prove to be a good pick. CJ Stroud comes off the board. Kind of glad I got Anthony Richardson where I did. 2 more picks to go before I go. What do you think of Gus Edwards? Dak Prescott comes off the board, so more quarterbacks. Jordan Love, Kyler Murray, and Brock Purdy remain. Trey McBride, Diego, you son of a bitch. Trey McBride comes off the board. Diego watches the show. Diego watches, he knows what I like to do. He knows I wanted Trey McBride. I didn't get Trey McBride. I'll go Kyle Pitts instead. So I get my tight end in Kyle Pitts. It was going to be Pitts or McBride. Diego. Anyways, we move on. Woosa, Serenity now, and we proceed. The run on tight end continues with Evan Ingram. Zamir White then went with the 7th pick of the 7th round. Is Andrews a top 3 tight end? I have my doubts, actually. I think he's a top 5. I don't even know if he's a top 3. I also think the arrival of Derrick Henry is going to change that offense just enough where I think it could negatively impact Mark Andrews. I think he may be in a more blocking role than he was before. I just kind of have some questions whether he can put up the numbers that he did in past years. Steven, I'd probably go K9 over Mixon, but it's very close. What do we like in the Bears game this weekend? I'm not going to bet it, but what I would say is I was really impressed by the backup quarterbacks. I don't know who they're playing, though, so I'd have to know who their opponent is and learn a little bit. I don't bet preseason games because I like being able to look at data, history, analytics, matchups, and try to find value. Preseason games are like, hey, if we drove to the park right now and there were 2 teams playing, do you think the team on the left side or the right side is going to win? There's no data I can pull from. It's a crapshoot with dice that have no history to them. Cameron, what's your question, man? I'm not seeing it. I haven't seen your question. Write it in a different way. Every once in a while, we have like a blocked word. I don't know why. But write it in a different way and see if it shows up there. Because I'm not seeing it right now, Cameron. Every once in a while, that seems to happen. Okay, it's my turn to draft. I have my quarterback. I have 3 running backs. I have a couple wide receivers. I mentioned to you guys before, I want to be invested in some way in the Kansas City Chiefs offense. I already am from a running back perspective with Isaiah Pacheco. But I'll also take it on Rashee Rice. I think Rashee Rice is wide receiver 1. I don't think that the legal issues are going to impact him this season. So I'll take Rashee Rice with my 6th pick of the 8th round. So far, my team is Anthony Richardson, Breece Hall, Isaiah Pacheco, Marvin Harrison Jr., DK Metcalf, Kyle Pitts, DeAndre Swift, and Rashee Rice. If this were a Madden team, it would be freaking amazing. It'd be incredibly athletic. From a fantasy standpoint, very happy with it as well. Can Hawkinson be a top 5 tight end when he gets back? I don't think so. Questions at quarterback and a lot of other tight ends that are really, really talented. It's a loaded position. I don't think he gets there this year. Falcon, thoughts on Alvin Kamara? If he falls to the right round, round 4 or 5, he might be good value. Other than that, I'm a little bit cautious to take him. I think he's good value if you're looking for an RB2. But again, I'm aware of where he is in his career, cycle. We are in round 8, closing out round 8. We have 6 rounds to go after this. And we are not going to do a second draft because preseason football starts at 7. And I want to go get some pizza and then lock into some football. I'm going to be watching Patriots and Panthers. So, no, I like anime. We won't do another league tonight, but I will be doing a lot of leagues this weekend. How about this? I'm going to do a poll right now. How about this? If we get 10 shares, we will do... No, I got to make it harder on you guys. 10 shares isn't that hard. I got to think of something. I'm thinking about doing a fantasy football marathon, but we got to have the proper incentive for it. We are in the 9th round. Nobody's seeing my comment. Cameron, I can't see it. Yeah. Can anybody see Cameron's question? Because I can't right now. So sorry, Cameron, but I don't think it's just me. Yo, if you draft 1 and start with CMC and Achan, what wide receiver? I'd go DK. OK1. I'd go DK Metcalf out of that group. I have 3 running backs. I have 3 wide receivers. I'll take a flyer. I'm going to go a flyer on Ladd McConkey. A lot of you guys have heard me say I like Ladd McConkey. I think he's a wide receiver 1 on the Chargers right now. So I take a flyer on him. Maybe I regret that a little bit. There were some other players that I considered taking, but that's where I come out for this 9th round pick. Yeah, Mark can't see it either. Kyron is a top 5 running back. You will see. I like anime. I don't think you're wrong, actually. I think we're forgetting how good Kyron Williams was last year. I guess I was thinking if it wasn't Ladd McConkey, I was gonna take Devin Singletary. Good pick by you. Good pick, Agus. Well done, buddy. Well done. Appreciate you guys watching the show. Hope you guys are loving the content and the conversation. Make sure you follow. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you're with us every time we go live. It is awesome to be with you guys. I hope every single day you are getting more and more ready, more and more excited for the fantasy football season. Max, I'd go CD Lamb. Max, I'd go CD Lamb. Deontay Johnson is out there. Melody, I'm not a Deontay Johnson guy. It requires me to believe in the Carolina Panthers, and I want nothing to do with the Carolina Panthers. Just a lot of reason for me to believe that is a no-win situation for me, so I'm going to dodge that one altogether. Appreciate you guys watching the show. Make sure you follow. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you're with us every time we go live. We are going to do a lot more drafts. There's going to be a lot of opportunity to participate with us, against us in fantasy football. So make sure you're DMing us. Make sure you're following us. Make sure you're getting involved when we get live. Cameron, if you send it to us, maybe, but I'm making no promises. I took Bijan at pick number 3. Jeremy, I don't hate it. Jake, no more drafts tonight. Just doing one because we got to get ready for some actual football out there. Godwin is out there. That's an interesting one. I don't know what to make of the Buccaneers offense. Is Baker going to bounce back and not bounce back, but continue this kind of revival? Is the passing game going to continue to be what they can rely on? How's Rachaad White going to do? It's just, I like them being in the division they are, but I'm just kind of cautious. I did just take Brock Bowers. To those who were talking about Brock Bowers earlier, I kind of like him in tandem with Kyle Pitts. A lot of things I can do there. We're working our way very quickly through the 10th round. We have 5 rounds to go. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 2 QB league. Other league mates wait on QB. Should I take Hurts and Lamar at the turn? It's kind of an interesting play. Zachary, if nothing else, if you're going to do it, I love the strategy. Own the position and dominate it. It's not a terrible idea. I kind of like it. Jake, I'll be at the Pats game tonight. Jake, enjoy it. I'm going to be in the Massachusetts area. I'm going to be in New England this weekend. So if anybody in the Boston or New England area wants to get together, DM me on Instagram. Let me know. I'm going to be around in Boston for the next few days. So enjoy, Jake. Have a lot of fun at the game. Maybe post a picture on Instagram and tag us in it. Love to see it. I just took Chase Brown as my 4th running back. Love the squad I'm building. Boy, am I kicking everyone's butt. I'm just playing. Royce, I think Christian McCaffrey is still the 1st overall pick, but now CD Lamb is pick number 2. Jeremy, I just didn't see Chase and Jefferson getting points every week like Bijan. I agree with you. I agree with you a lot. It has to do with their age. It has to do with their usage in the offense, the offenses themselves, the competition. Really quick, New Orleans Saints this year, they start their year against Carolina, at Dallas, home of Philly, at Atlanta. Could be a good opportunity for him to get off to a good start. Working our way through the 11th round of this 10-man PPR Snake League. Nick, who would be the better receiver if needed to draft, Jaden Reed or Romeo Doubs? I'm going to go Jaden Reed only based on what we saw last year, the chemistry with him and Jordan Love. I think it's a toss-up because I think Jordan Love has shown that he throws to the open receiver, but I'll lean Jaden Reed just barely over Doubs. That's from a fantasy standpoint. I got Kamara in the 12th round. Jeremy, that's a steal of all steals, and that's an example. Alvin Kamara, I think, is being overlooked. Finally, I think for too long, people were putting his value too high, given off-the-field issues, given the Saints' offense, a lot of other factors. I think this year, it's finally time where he's falling in drafts, which makes him a good value. Lots of great advice last season. That helped the championship run. Ready for another. Jake, great to have you with us. Make sure you follow and make sure you subscribe. We will be doing subscriber-only shows during fantasy football season. During the rest of the year, we don't do subscriber-only shows, really. We want to make ourselves accessible. But during fantasy football season, we get so many questions. We try to help as many people out as we can. We do go to subscriber-only shows, so heads up there. Kyler in the 6-7 turn or Love in the 8-9. I'd probably go Kyler because I think the rushing opportunity is there. I think his legs are back. I like the offense they've built around him more than I did before. So I'll go Kyler there. We're in round 12 right now 4 rounds to go. I'm going against my rule maybe I'll go Keon Coleman. I'll take another rookie wide receiver. So far, I have a bunch of rookies. This goes in keeping with kind of my strategy. If you guys play against me in fantasy or watch the show at all, I love drafting rookies. They are often overlooked and they have a lot of value. The rookies I have on this team are Marvin Harrison Jr., Ladd McConkey, Brock Bowers, and Keon Coleman, all guys who could be the number 1 pass catcher on their team. Outside of Brock Bowers, you would assume that's Devontae Adams, but other than that, all 4 could be the number 1 pass catcher on their team, and they didn't cost me too much. Again, this is a recap of the team I have so far. I was drafting 5th overall in a 10-man PPR league. Anthony Richardson's my quarterback. My starting running backs are Breece Hall and Isaiah Pacheco. My starting wide receivers are Marvin Harrison Jr. and DK Metcalf. My tight end, Kyle Pitts. My flex player, backup running back DeAndre Swift. And right now my bench is Rashee Rice, Ladd McConkey, Brock Bowers, Chase Brown, and Keon Coleman. That's why you come to Butt Fumble Sports, folks, because we do our homework. That is as solid a draft as you could have at that 5th spot. I would challenge anybody to come at me on that one. I feel very good about this team. Yeah, a lot of rookies, maybe too many, but if only 2 of the 4 rookies hit, I am totally in the money. Think Keon Coleman would be a good pick as a wide receiver if needed? Yes, I do. I'm now in round 13. No defense has been picked yet. I got to give credit to the league. Those that are drafting, great job, because I think drafting a defense too early is a mistake. But round 13 is where I would draft a defense. So I'm going to take the New York Jets. This is the time I do it. Round 13, round 14, Browns go next. So I give a lot of credit. This was a really good draft, everybody. If you watch our show, if you're watching on YouTube, this is actually a good draft to study. This is BFS number 10, our 10th league that we've drafted. People didn't take quarterbacks too early. They didn't take tight ends too early. They didn't take defense or kicker too early. This was a very realistic draft to what you'll probably have in your league, unless you have some fantasy football terrorists who just like to blow up the league with random draft picks. But if you have a very smart league against competitive competition, really good competition, this is a good draft to study because people didn't reach on this one. So it gives you a good sense of who is available, when did the runs happen, depending on position. Really notable to me, running back dominated the 2nd round. So you better get your running backs early because the 2nd round went in this one, it was almost all running backs. I will look to my kicker now. I'll take Fairbairn. I'll rely on Houston to continue to put up offense. Who's your favorite rookie? Probably Marvin Harrison Jr. Malik Neighbors is a close second. I'm pretty high as well on Brock Bowers. Some other folks brought him up. Ladd McConkey's one I love. Xavier Worthy's one that I love, but they're probably in that 2nd tier. We are in the 14th round of this draft. It'll be our only draft of the night because we've got real football going on, at least preseason football. So we're going to end the show after this draft. Really appreciate you guys being with us. Hope you guys have loved the content today. It's been so fun being with you. I enjoy being with you guys every day. I hope you guys enjoy it as well. I hope you can hear it from the enthusiasm in my voice, how much I love talking sports with you. Make sure you follow, make sure you subscribe, make sure you're with us every time we're live because hopefully we're entertaining and educating you on something that you didn't know before, giving you some good value for your fantasy drafts, your sports betting picks, and everything else. Make sure you follow. That's Butt Fumble Sports. DM me on Instagram. Butt Fumble Sports on fantasy football is going to be available all year long, so make sure you're following us and make sure you're participating as often as you can. I'm looking for other flyers I could take right now. Here's a flyer I'll take. I'm going to take Mike Williams. Mike Williams has been cleared to be healthy. That's going to be the last pick of my draft. If Mike Williams gets back to full health in that Jets offense, Mike Williams could be a really sneaky good pick for a 15th round pick, just avoiding having the battle to take him on the waiver. I kind of like it. I thought about Jaden Daniels or a backup quarterback, but given who I got at quarterback and Anthony Richardson, his bye week is week 14. I'm going to ride with him for a while. Quick recap of my team, which was the 5th pick in the 10-man league. Anthony Richardson, Breece Hall, Isaiah Pacheco, Marvin Harrison Jr., DK Metcalf, Kyle Pitts, DeAndre Swift, Kyle Fairbairn, New York Jets defense, and my bench was Rashee Rice, Ladd McConkey, Brock Bowers, Chase Brown, Keon Coleman, and Mike Williams. Our draft has officially concluded. I appreciate all those that participated in the draft. Had a lot of fun with you guys. We are going to do a ton of drafts tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday. We'll probably do a fantasy football draft marathon. So make sure you follow Butt Fumble Sports so you don't miss when we're live and you can participate in those drafts or just follow along to get some good information for your own drafts at home. Appreciate you guys watching the show as always. Make sure you're with us again tomorrow. We will be live at 4:30 tomorrow, everybody. That's 4:30 on Friday, August 9th. So make sure you join us then. Until then, I hope you guys have a wonderful night. Enjoy preseason football, enjoy baseball, and make sure you're with us again at 4:30 tomorrow when we talk more sports, everybody. Until then, stay healthy, stay safe, and I'll see you guys tomorrow, everybody. Have a great evening. Goodbye, everyone.